What's up, everybody? It's Punk Rock Talk, episode 31. You know what? I'm sitting here, and I don't think this music's loud enough. 1 second. That's a little better. Today, my guest is Doc Rotten from New Jersey. You're listening to Psych Ward 103 from Doc Rotten. It's on our Spotify playlist, Rebellion Noise 2022. If you have not followed that playlist yet, you should do that. You can find it on the Havoc's Spotify page. Just search for the Havoc, go to our profile, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the playlist there. You can also just search for the playlist. We update it every Monday in correlation with whoever we're going to be interviewing here on Punk Rock Talk that week. I'm excited to interview these guys. Their songs are a lot of fun. It's going to be cool. Have you missed an old episode of Punk Rock Talk? Not to worry. You can find all of them on the Havoc's YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to our channel, you should do that. Tap that bell icon while you're there so that you'll be notified every time we upload new content to our YouTube channel. New episodes of Punk Rock Talk are uploaded to our YouTube channel every Wednesday evening. Used to be every Thursday, but I've been getting some help around here lately, which has been nice. And they've been going up on Wednesday evenings. So, before you go to bed tonight, this episode should be up there. And the Havoc is always working on new content to put up on our YouTube channel, not just new episodes of Punk Rock Talk. So you should definitely subscribe. This episode of Punk Rock Talk and every episode of Punk Rock Talk is brought to you by our wonderful sponsor, Dead and Buried Inc. Are you in a band? Do you need merchandise? They are your source. You can find them here on Instagram at Dead and Buried Inc. That's Dead and Buried Inc. INC, not INK. You can also find them online on their website at deadandburiedinc.com. You can go there and request a quote to have your merch printed. If you're looking for Havoc merch, that's where you're going to find it. Again, it's deadandburiedinc.com. This episode of Punk Rock Talk is also brought to you by Rebellion Noise Records. There are updates in the works right now for Rebellion Noise Records. I should be making some announcements for that in the next week or two. But some exciting stuff's happening. You can find Rebellion Noise Records right here on Instagram. It's the only place that you're going to find it right now. We're not going to be on Facebook. Fuck Facebook. I'm not going to waste my time with that shit. But yeah, updates coming soon. If you have questions for myself or Doc Rotten during this interview, submit them by tapping that question mark icon on your screen. Don't put them in the comment section, please. They get lost there. All right. Before we go any further, and before I invite our guest, I want to do a quick update here. Let me go ahead and bring this up for you guys. I've tried to stay very consistent with this every week. Our good friend Brittany, the drummer for Oil Change, has a GoFundMe page that was set up by her grandmother because she's going to be undergoing heart surgery in the near future. She just made a social media post earlier this week with an an update. Unfortunately, I don't have it right here in front of me, and I don't recall all the details off of the top of my head. But I do remember something about it saying that basically insurance is not going to cover all of it. If I'm remembering that correctly. Regardless of whether they were going to cover it or not, like, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of unexpected financial burdens based around this. Obviously she's going to miss work. And whatever else is going to happen. So she could definitely use the help. I have not visited the GoFundMe page to see if there have been any more contributions made. But the last time I visited it, there had not been. And it's been sitting at the same number. At that point, it had been sitting at the same number for like over a month. Which is kind of heartbreaking, to be honest, because this is an important member of our family. And, this is not, this isn't like somebody that broke their arm or something. We're talking about heart surgery. It's a really serious deal. And she's remained very calm and cool and collected about it from everything that I've seen. But let there be no mistake. This is definitely something to not take lightly. And not only do I want to make sure that the oil change camp knows that we're in their corner and that we're thinking about them, but I want you guys to get familiar with them and make a contribution if you can. $5, something. Anything helps. Okay, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and invite our guest here. And again, if you have questions for myself or Doc Rotten during this interview, tap that question mark icon on your screen to submit them. And we'll get to the live Q&A portion a little while later here in the show. Okay, invitation has been sent. There we go. What's up?
Yo.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Before we get started, would you guys do me a small favor and just introduce yourselves to the audience? Let them know who you are and what you do in the band and where the band is from.
I'm Andrew. I play guitar and sing a little bit. And the band's from Trenton, New Jersey.
I'm AJ. I play drums. Yeah, Doc Rotten, New Jersey.
Where's the band from?
I just said it.
Well, Andrew and AJ, thank you so much for making time to be my guest here today. You know what? I'm seeing a little bit of a glare from the sun.
Yeah, you know what? Here, let's do this.
Let's make an adjustment there.
Yeah. Here. You know what?
You sit there.
Let's go on the bench. Better. Hey, I'm gonna need that, bro.
Okay, there you go.
Here, come sit.
Okay.
Sit in my lap. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's very tall, so it'd be tough.
Right on.
All right,
That's way better.
all right, cool.
So yeah, like I was saying, thanks for making the time to be on Punk Rock Talk. I'm
thanks for
excited
having
to talk
us.
to you guys. So I just got to ask this. Psych Ward 103. Out of all the songs on the new record, like they're all fucking fantastic. Let me start off with that.
Thanks.
But that one lyrically just really stuck out to me. It's just really fun and kind of playful. And I wanted to ask what the inspiration was behind that. Who is, this mystery girl from Room 103 that you're talking about?
I wrote that song. I had a roommate a few years ago, and he was almost a permanent resident of Florida because he was going to rehab so many times. And like he always, like the last time he went, he like every time I ask him like, how come you always relapse or something like that? He's like, well, it all started with this girl at a rehab. And so I just wrote these lyrics down one day, and then I think the whole song took about like 15 minutes to write. I had like the melody, and then like it just popped in my head, and I wrote the song down and I played it to him, and he wasn't that amused about it, but I thought it was hilarious. And I actually saw him yesterday, but I haven't told him. I mean, I think when the song came out, I sent it to him. I was like, hey man, this is about you. And after we recorded it, and he still wasn't impressed or anything like that. So, yeah.
I was very impressed when we first started demoing it. I thought it was a fun song, and then I heard him lay down the scratch vocals to it, and I was like, "This is the first single. This is it."
Yeah, I mean, undoubtedly hooky.
Yeah.
And like I said, all the songs are great. That one's just, if I were listening to them, if I was in the band and I was listening to them, that would be my thought too. Like, this should be the first single.
Yeah. Well,
I love that you're drawing from like a real life experience, to write this song that obviously like you had some connection to the story that he was telling you, and like you use that as inspiration for your music, man. That's rad.
well, like the lyrics in the song aren't like his exact story. It was just like I'm in recovery, so I hear stories like this all the time. So I could just only imagine and piece it together. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, so yeah, the lyrics are fun and everything like that. And before we play it live, I'm always like, how many like rehab alumni do we have in the crowd? And
Nice.
people are like, me.
How long have you been in recovery?
8 years.
Congrats, man.
He's got 2 up on me. He's 10.
Nice.
He's winning.
Oh yeah, I remind him every day.
I'm spiking his drink one day. I'm gonna beat this motherfucker in life.
I tell him, I say, hey man, it's one day at a time. But
I have more time.
I have way more one day at a time than you, bro. You're a fucking loser.
That's fucking
True.
cruel,
Every
man.
morning when I wake up, you text me that. Morning, loser. I'm better than you.
No, man. No, you guys are both winning. That's really fucking cool, and my hat's off to you. I've got 4 years coming up in December. So,
keep it going.
It really has been life-changing, man.
Oh, all for the better.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I've never had a drug problem. But alcohol, was just always the thing for me. And I just always refer to it as my fuck it switch. As soon as the fuck it switch was flipped, it's like, I'm drinking like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, man, I really don't miss it because it just caused so much damage in my life. And this isn't to like shame anybody that's out there that's still partying or anything. It's not about that. It's just for me, like I had to get control of myself.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's, I mean, if you could see like a line graph of your life, you would see it like go down right before you got sober, and then spike way the fuck up
Yeah.
right after, and you're like, wait, what happened there? It's like, oh, I fucking changed my life for the better. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask this, you know, growing up in the punk scene, you know, it's just like all around us. Um, you know, it's a drinking culture, really. Um, I think more so than heavy drug use. Not that that is uh, totally out of the equation or anything.
I think that's in every scene now.
Yeah, I would
There's always
agree.
some kind of dark corner somewhere.
Yeah. So, you know, coming up in this scene, let's talk a little bit about that, like your early days and the influence of the music and, you know, the influence of being under the influence,
Yeah.
and kind of like what led you to turning a corner.
Um. Well, I didn't even know like punk rock was a thing. I remember hearing like bands like the Ramones and the Clash on the radio, but I just thought it was rock and roll. I didn't know it was like a separate category. And my neighbor down the street from me, her name was Jen. She was like a skater chick, and she liked she was listening to like Nirvana, 311, and No Effects, and I liked all of it, but I like that No Effects. Like I think the first song I really like heard, I was, what the fuck is this? Was that song Punk Guy from Punk and Drublic?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, this is punk rock," and I was like, "What made?" Like I was like, "I don't even know like what." I was like, "Okay, I guess." And then it was she kind of educated me in that regard, and then I started finding like bands in our area like the Bouncing Souls and Bigwig, and then it started getting even broad. I mean, like Rancid was a massive band, Green Day were massive bands. I didn't know they were. I didn't know them as punk bands. I had no idea. And Rancid I really vibed with. Um, but then I just, right around the age that I learned about punk rock, Napster was a thing. So and LimeWire and all that shit. So I would just smoke weed. Now I was like, as far as like drug use and drinking and all that stuff go, I went from like being like an athlete that said he would never, like I was playing baseball, soccer, and football, like doing all this shit, and I'll never smoke a cigarette. I had some smoking a stogie right now, and I'll never do any of this shit. And like in a week, I totally changed, and I started trying all this stuff out. And when I smoked weed for the first time, it was the worst experience of my life. I smoked way too much for a novice pot smoker, and I was like, like when they talk about like you got to hold on to the grass so you don't fall off the earth. That was me, and I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. But the next day, my buddies had weed, and they're like, "You want to do it again?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it again." And I figured out, tolerance and like it just was always there for me. And then but I always had this like infatuation with music, and I was playing the drums around that same time too. And the so I started finding all these bands: Bouncing Souls, Dropkick Murphys, Coxbar, and then like I learned that the Clash and the Ramones, these bands that I already knew about, like were like the godfathers of all this shit. And I would find a band, I would search them on the internet and find out who their influences were, and I would like went backwards.
Yeah.
And I found out that I loved the Buzzcocks, Stiff Little Fingers. I like these bands sound like bands that I've always listened to, like old rock and roll, just with like more distortion and faster. And then going to shows, I went to my first punk show at like an American Legion locally in Trenton, and dude, if you're an alcoholic like me, like like you just wind up in weird fucking situations with strangers. And
Yeah.
I was in the back of this car with strangers. I was 13 or 14. I was probably 14 years old.
Hey guys, I hate to interrupt you. Can you hear me? Because I cannot hear you. The audio dropped. Wait, there we go.
I put it on Do Not Disturb. It said I got the moonlight at the top.
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened, and then all of a sudden there was no audio.
I'm sorry, dude.
Did you get the car part with the old dude drinking in the back seat and fondling him?
No, I
Oh,
got
no,
go back a little.
Anyway, long story short, I was drinking at my first punk show, and it was always associated, only because it was a big part of my life anyway, but the music was always like a big part of like what I wanted to do, and but I could never get my shit together to get into a band and stay in a band, because really for me, like as much as I love the music, the drinking and the drugs always came first, and I just never get my shit together until I got sober. But I would always go to shows, you know, like I've probably seen the Bouncing Souls more than any other band, because they're local guys, and they're one of my favorite bands, which is cool because we ended up recording with Pete, the guitarist. But yeah, I mean, what eventually got me sober was after years of just fucking up and like getting in all kinds of trouble and stuff, I got into a fight at my cousin's wedding.
Oh man.
And I was always the guy. I was like, how do you get in a fight at a wedding? You know, like how does that happen? Everybody's having a good time, like laughing, having a good time, and I became that guy. One of my cousins that I really liked a lot, like she's one of my favorite cousins, like, and I get in a fight at her wedding, her one special day,
Right.
and I couldn't hold it together. So the next, you know, one of my uncles was in AA, and he like hit me up and asked me if I wanted to go with him, and I'd been there before, and I was like, I actually gave it a shot, and my neighbor's dog's coming by. Yeah, we're doing this out front of my house. So yeah, that's what started that process, and like you know the deal, and hopefully other people that are listening, you know, it's way better. I remember the first show I went to sober was Rancid and Blood for Blood upstate New York, dude. I never had more fun at a show. Never had more fun at a show in my life. And I remember the set list.
Right.
You know, like
yeah.
Like it was crazy. I remember what happened. I remember how good Blood for Blood was, and it was just an amazing time. And that was in a nutshell, you know, punk rock for me, man. Like, and then you know, continuing it to we go on tour, we play a lot of shows. People are drinking around us all the time, man. It's not like it's not something I would have been able to do like early off sober, but after years of like doing meetings and like things like that, you some people, I mean, it's been my experience. Some people get more comfortable. Others, I know, I'm still friends with people who have been sober like 15 years and they still don't go into those environments, and I respect that. But for me, it's just something that like I don't just hang out in bars unless I have business there, you know? Yeah. So if I'm going to see a show, I have business there because I'm there for the show. I'm not there for the booze. You know, I love the music that much. And I like supporting bands too, especially the small bands that are going around touring on the road, man. I mean, I'm in a fortunate situation because I'm sober that I have 2 extra rooms that I offer to bands when they're playing like nearby, whether they're playing Philly or in Trenton. I'm able to have bands stay by, and that's because I'm sober. It's not because I'm so fucking smart or anything like that. You know?
That's awesome, man. I appreciate
the TV story.
Huh?
Tell them the TV story.
Oh, the
eviction. Listen to this one.
Oh yeah. This is
priorities right here.
It says week 2. I'm sober 2 weeks, right?
Okay.
And I'm in an apartment, and I you know, I at this point I had to like not write off my friends, but I couldn't hang out with my friends because I just knew that I would get fucked up if I was hanging out with them. So I'm lonely. I'm in my apartment. I got this shitty fucking TV. My apartment's a mess. And I'm like, you know what? I actually had money because I wasn't spending it right away as soon as I got paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to buy myself, I treat myself to a nice flat screen TV. Never had one before in my life, so I go to get one. And it's awesome. Set it up. The next day I go to work. I come home from work and there's an eviction notice on my apartment door. I hadn't been paying my rent for months, and I buy this like $800 TV because I'm like, you know what? I'm a good sober guy now. I deserve this. You know, I stay sober. I stay sober for like 14 days. Like I've been a good boy. Pat myself on the back. Fucking asshole.
My landlord will understand.
That is too funny.
Yeah, but you know what though? Because I was tight with guys that were sober, they kind of laughed about it. They busted my balls, but then they showed me how to get ahead, how to face these things head on and not run away from them, and go to my landlord and say, look, this is what's happening now. I need to work out a plan. I need to work out a plan to pay you guys back and like get out of this, like get out of the red, you know?
Listen, man, this TV is sweet, and I'm not getting rid of it. So we gotta work something out.
That was yeah, yeah. That would have been the smart. Well, just return the TV. Well, I can't really do that.
All right, now you're getting irrational over here.
I've never seen a football game in HD before. This is pretty insane, man. It's hilarious. 'Cause I don't even watch football anymore. But anyway, cool. Yeah, that's my thing.
I appreciate you sharing that, man, because it's interesting to hear other people's journey, you know, and I just want to tell the audience too, like, you know, from my own personal experience, I've been on both sides where I was just partying all the time and having the time of my life. And now I'm on this other side of the spectrum, you know, been sober almost 4 years. And like, I don't want anybody in the audience to feel like this is any way like a put down on you if you aren't sober or if you're partying or anything like that. That's not what it is.
It ain't like that.
We need those shows.
We're not teetotalers, man. Those fucking works. Yeah, nah, fuck that. Let people live their life. It's kind of, you know, I always explain to people, it's like being a diabetic. Like, I'm not going to be upset if I go to a birthday party and everybody's having cake and I'm like, well, I can't have cake. It's like, well, yeah dude, your body disagrees with that substance.
Right.
I have an allergy to alcohol and drugs, and I get an allergic reaction. My allergy leads to fucking handcuffs, and usually, I mean, really, like, to not be so, like, because I didn't get arrested every time, but what always happened is I hurt the people that cared about me the most. So and that's not, most people don't have that.
Exactly.
I'm part of the minority.
That was the turning point for me too. I got tired of hurting the people that I cared the most about.
Yeah.
I did not give a shit if I hurt myself.
Yeah.
Because I would do that all the time.
Same.
Like, and it's crazy that we're talking about this because for the last couple of days, my middle finger on my right hand has just really been hurting. And, you know, I work construction, so I'm constantly, you know, physically exhausting myself. I'm always using my right hand for tools and, you know, and all these things. And so my mind goes, you know, well, logically, it's because you're working. That's why your hand hurts. But then I start thinking about before I got sober and how many times did I put my fist through a window or through a mirror, you know, or through somebody else, you know, and that is probably as much of a contributing factor to this than work is, you know. but yeah, like, to touch on what you were saying too, like about an allergy problem, like for me, when I went to my first AA meeting, I made a decision to get sober one day, and literally the next day I was in an AA meeting.
Yeah.
And I had never been to one before. But I learned very quickly that my problem is not just that I'm an addict. My problem is my personality. I have a personality problem. And anybody that has read the big book knows that there is a certain personality type that really falls into this trap of alcoholism. And as I was getting familiar with the big book, certain words stuck out to me, like irritability, you know, just that was me, constantly fucking irritated, never pleased, you know, all of these things that just like, you're just like a ticking time bomb. And like alcohol was the thing that I used to try and defuse the time bomb, but rather than diffuse it, it just set it off every time.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, not everybody has that problem, and if you don't, I am fucking stoked for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that problem and you can go out and have a few drinks and be responsible and enjoy yourself, fucking do it. That's rad. I wish I could be that person too, but I'm not. So I had to make the decision to, you know, do what's best for me, and for me, it's sobriety. So.
Fuck yeah, dude. And there's so many, dude. I used to think nobody was sober in the punk scene. As I've been touring, like,
that's a big lie, man.
That's a lie.
Oh, there's so many people that are, and also so many bands that like I've been in love with my whole life. Like, the reason they're still together is because a couple members had to get sober, and the ones that either died young or just broke up, it was usually behind some, like, you know, some drama related to some kind of mind-altering substance.
Yeah. Dude, I've connected with a lot of bands over the years, and especially, you know, like in the early 2000s when the Havoc was super active and like the punkcore days and all that. And a lot of those guys that I talk with now, I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to say that there are plenty of them that are now sober, and it's, you know, based on conversations I've had with them, they told me it's the best thing for them. And I think it's fucking rad when someone discovers that, and like they can continue to pursue the thing that they're really passionate about, which is the music.
Yeah, it's good too for the band. I mean, not everybody in the band has to get sober,
Right?
Or is sober, but you know, if you have like one or two grounded individuals, because this happened to us a couple times. Like, bands would come up to us and be like, "How do you guys do it?" Like, every time we go on tour, we have to come home because we just party way too much. Like, we just yeah, we have a good time, but you know,
We're like Rush.
yeah, we read books and shit after.
We're dorks.
But dude, like, we like when people are drunk and everything at shows too. Like,
It makes for a better show. Like when
throw beer cans.
You don't
at
have
us,
to,
please.
and you don't have to be drunk, but like,
It helps.
if that's what you like doing, you doing what you love while we're doing what we love.
We love you for
makes
it.
for a better time for everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And there's no shade thrown at anyone.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, man. It's just really, I think, about respect, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Some people have become familiar with themselves enough to know that they have boundary lines that they shouldn't cross. And if they've made that decision, like, that's fucking rad for them. And those that are around them should respect that and let them do them. And, you know, it's a two-way street, just like you're saying, you know, let other people do their thing, you know. It's all good as long as we're having a good time together.
Absolutely.
Before we continue on, just one thing I want to address the audience again. If you have questions for myself or Doc Rotten, tap that question mark icon on your screen and submit your questions there. We're getting closer to the live Q&A portion of the show. So now's the time to do that, guys. Having said that, let's talk a little bit about the music. You've got this awesome record out. The recording is so good. And for me, like, that's one of the things that I always pay attention to right off the bat. If I'm listening to a new record, the first thing I want to, dissect is the recording. But everything about it sounds full. You can hear everything really clearly. Tell me, what was the production process like for you guys? What did you guys do in the studio?
Well, the first record was recorded with Pete. So we took that record, I did, and I was like, all right, what can I change? Because there were some things I wanted to change about the second record, because we were going to record with the same person. So I was like, all right, I want the guitars to sound a little bit, bring the guitars out a little bit more brighter and stuff like that. So, it was good that we recorded with the same person to be like, hey, this is what we want this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of happy we didn't change it up and go to another.
Well, the writing process, we demoed first. We went to, we spent a weekend. First, what we did was we got a bunch of our songs.
You gotta hit the red button.
Audio dropped again. So let's go back a little bit. You said you were talking about demoing the song.
Okay, yeah. So the first thing we did was we mostly practiced in my basement. We got a bunch of songs together. We just track them. A lot of it was rough on the cell phone, but then we got ourselves an Airbnb, like a log cabin. We're in Central Jersey, so upstate New York is no big deal for us. The Pocono Mountains is no big deal for us, and we went up there to get a cabin and isolate ourselves, so we had no distractions, and we just laid out the songs, just the way you would in the studio. Drums first. Well, no, it's not true. We played them as a band and practiced them, and then once we got comfortable enough with them, we would lay them down. And hey, my mom just showed up.
Hey.
Hi, Mom.
Okay. It's very.
Just for the record, I don't live with my mom. She lives with me.
That's my roommate.
My mom's my roommate.
Yeah. All right. So I'm online. I can't.
We're live.
I'm not going to give you my door code on. Well, knock. All right. 1 second.
Okay.
Anyway,
let's hear you.
We rented this cabin.
Okay.
In the Poconos for like 2-3 days. It was freezing cold. We set up a whole studio in this guy's living room. It was a nice place. They had a fireplace too, like a wood burning stove. Anyway, so we were just rehearsing, sharing songs back and forth the first 2 days, I'd say. And at night we would just start recording everything, like when we had the song going. So, and then it took how long was it? Like a year or so? We had the demos. We were just listening to them, critiquing them.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't intentional. What happened was COVID.
The world shut down.
Yeah.
So we were demoing them. We did 2 separate cabin demo recording sessions. We recorded 20 songs, and maybe more. Yeah, it was probably 26 probably, and. We all brought songs to the table. There's no chief writer in the band. It's whoever's got ideas, we do them, and we just pick whatever we think is the strongest. Not just what's the strongest songs, but what makes sense as a record as a whole. This is our first full length record, so the other ones were EPs. The Illusion to Choose. If you find that vinyl, that's actually a combination of 3 EPs. The last one being Illusion to Choose, but we put 3 EPs together. So this was our first full length. So we wanted to make sure that the songs flowed nicely and had a good feel, a good vibe to it. So we picked the songs that made sense for that. But what had happened was we were flying out to Europe the day of the lockdown, and our flight got canceled. You know, the whole world shut down.
Right.
And our plan was right after Europe, come back and go in the studio. And you know, we were all bummed like the rest of the world was. And, but it actually worked out to our advantage because we got to digest them a little bit more, work on them a little bit more, hone them in, and even get a couple more songs together for the record. And it was pretty. And then we met with Pete, Pete Seinkoff from the Bouncing Souls, and like Andrew said, we did our Illusion to Choose EP with him. The songs are Mind Control, Questions, Snake, Hold Fast, and there's a 5th one. Oh, was it Sick and Suffering? No, I think it was it. No, Sick and Suffering was Sean.
Or whatever.
Either way, there's another one in there. I can't think of it.
Songs were in there. Whatever's in the first one.
And yeah, so we did those songs with Pete, and we really liked how he operates. He's like it's weird. It's the perfect combination of no bullshit, but also chill ass environment. Like, which I like. I'm kind of like a psychotic, like workaholic guy. Go from alcoholic to workaholic. And I'm like all business. And then once my job's done, then I can hang out and enjoy the fruits of my labor. But, until then, I really like to just go through it. But the other guys work differently than I do, and I found like what we found was working with Pete. The way he works suits all our different personalities, and it just makes for a great time while you're making it. And he also like has valuable input.
Sure.
Without being, he's not pushy. Like he's definitely helping with the production aspect of it, but he's not pushy. Just he has an idea. We just try. That's pretty much how we all work together. Is like if one of us has an idea that's not totally fucking ridiculous, like we try everything out. Just try it out, see how it sounds. If it sounds cool, we leave it. If it doesn't, we, usually know by the looks on everybody's faces.
Right.
And there's some hills where, each individual is willing to die on. And there's others that, you just, hey, group consensus favors something different. So we change something. Sure. But, yeah, the recording process with him is fantastic. And I can't refer enough people to him. And we're really happy. And I appreciate you saying how good you thought it sounded, because I thought it's the best thing I've ever recorded for sure.
Yeah, man.
I think that's like kind of the never-ending search as a musician. Like when you start off with this shit, you hear bands that you think are cool as fuck, and you're like, man, I would love to put out something someday that sounds that rad. Yeah. And then, you record your first thing, and it's total dog shit. And you listen back, and you're like, I suck, and I hate myself because this is terrible. But for whatever reason, you don't give up, and you just keep going. And then the next thing you put out sounds like dog shit.
Yeah.
And you're
it
like,
keeps going.
Fuck. But eventually
At least you're honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Every time I put it out, like from the time I was 13 to like, up until like even now, every time I'm like, wow, it sounds so great, man. That sounds, and then like 5 years later, I'm like, why do we fucking think that sounded good? Like, this is terrible. This is dog shit. At least right away, you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I was just lying to myself for years.
Remember what I was saying earlier about having a personality problem? That's part of it.
Well, it's an honest program, so.
Yeah.
I can honestly say this record doesn't sound like dog shit.
No, it doesn't. It definitely does not. And like one of the things that impressed me so much is not only am I a musician and a songwriter, but a vocalist. And I don't think about songwriting from just, one perspective. But the vocals are always so important. And I know as a vocalist, like when I am working on a song, demoing it off or whatever, I'll hear the vocals in my head one way. And then when I go to track it and I listen back to it, I'll be like, yeah, that's dog shit. It doesn't sound as cool as I thought it was going to in my head. So then begins the tedious process of like, okay, how do I develop this idea and make it into something worth listening to? And like, for your record, all of the melodies are consistently good. And that's just challenging, coming from a vocalist perspective, to, and not to say that like the bar is set low in punk rock. In some instances it is. But you can always tell when there's those bands that are like, no, we need to really set the bar higher. And I mean, it comes out in the songwriting, and it comes out in the melodies, and it comes out in the hooks. And like, I just think it's cool that you guys had that opportunity with COVID to like really, take a step back and, reevaluate and be like, no, like, let's dial these in more, because I think it's paid off for sure.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think, our strength is in, there's not one captain of the ship from a songwriting perspective.
Yeah.
But there's also not too many cooks in the kitchen. We reach out to each other when we need help with something. It is collaborative, but there's also times where like, hey man, just like Andrew we were practicing a new song last week, and Andrew wrote it from start to finish. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of input from Doug and myself, but like, then he's got the words ready to go. So
this one's gonna be better than Psych Ward. It's hilarious.
You can't say that.
Shit!
It's gonna be worse now.
You jinxed it.
It's gonna be worse.
It's gonna be
cringy.
Now it's gonna be our worst song.
You're either gonna listen to it and be like, or like, oh geez.
Yeah, but on a serious note, like that is, I think our strength is in our ability to work well with each other, at which we're lucky because like some bands. I mean, I've been in bands where there was a songwriter. I'm the drummer, so like I'll just write. But I've always written songs, always. Mm-hmm. I just never pitched any ideas because I was really never in a punk band, like one that was worth like putting a lot of effort into. This is like the first time I was in like an actual where all four people were like, hey, let's make this music. Let's make music we actually want to listen to.
Right.
That's what's cool.
Yeah.
We all pitched in on this record.
Yeah.
I want to tell the audience again, if you have questions for myself or Doc Rotten, go ahead and submit them now. We need to start the live Q&A because time is a factor, and we are starting to run out of time. We've gone over a little bit because I've been having so much fun with this interview, actually. So yeah, go ahead and tap that question mark icon to submit your questions. But I'm going to kick it off. I'm curious, how did you guys get the name Doc Rotten? What's it come from?
So it really doesn't come from anything. It was literally spitballing, and it sounded cool. The hardest thing is to come up with a band name, as I'm sure you know. It's the hardest fucking thing to do. To come up with one that's like that you want to like to be cool. And we had a bunch of ideas, and Wes said something like how about the Rock Bottoms? And I was like, sounds like an old man cover band. Yeah, like I was like, it's like, so I just rhymed it. I said Doc Rotten, and like Ooh, it sounds like a comic book villain, you know. And
Totally.
and we actually didn't even decide on it right then. It wasn't like a light bulb aha moment. We were like, all right, that's good. Let's keep that as the working title unless we come up with. And we never came up with anything better. And
Yeah, nothing.
that's how creative we are. But no, it was and you know, we talked to our friends that like are local in the scene, and I was just like, hey man, what do you think about this name? And some people were like, that sucks, and other people were like, nah, it's pretty good.
And they lied to us and told us it was good.
You know what the coolest part was? I interviewed the Bouncing Souls,
Okay.
and you know, I would have never in a million fucking years brought up like, hey, I'm in a band too, you know, and I wasn't gonna do that because I was like doing an interview, and I didn't want to be that guy to the Bouncing Souls. Like to smaller bands, I don't care. Like we talk shit all the time. Like we like going back and forth talking about our bands, but like these fucking Bouncing Souls, you know. So I wasn't gonna be like, hey man, I have a band too.
Yeah. Did
So,
you do it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Pete,
I thought that was coming up.
no.
Fucking name
Pete,
drops?
this is how we met. This is how we met Pete. Because I was doing an interview for Blank TV, and Pete was just talking to us. He's like, "What are you guys playing band too?" And I was like, "Yeah, we played a band. It was me and Wes went together." And he's like, "What's the band called?" Doc Rotten. And Brian was there, and he turns around and goes, "Doc Rotten. That's a good name." And he turned back around to eat his donut. I was like, "Oh, we did the good one."
That's awesome.
But they're known for being like one of the nicest bands ever. So he might have just been being nice.
Either way, I mean, you're still here and doing it, and that's fucking cool. And you've got a relationship with them, so that's fucking cool too.
Yeah, it's cool. Very cool. We're lucky. We're fortunate guys.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions here from the audience. This first one comes from our good friend Kurt of Dismantle Records. He says, Doc Rotten, any gigs in Massachusetts, Connecticut, or New Hampshire soon?
I was actually gonna bring that up. No, but we're thinking about making like a run up there.
We were actually going to we were going to go up with Michael Caine in the Morning Afters from State Line Records, and I saw that. What's up, Parasitics? How you doing? We were going to go up there, but scheduling got fucked up, so we had to change our plans. But no, the next thing we have. So what happened was Wes just had a baby, so we had to change a lot of our agenda for the rest of the year, and like we were supposed to play Camp Pennsylvania. We're not going to be there anymore. Bummed about that because we had such a blast there last year, and those people are so rad. I'll probably be going there anyway just to hang, but so next year, as far as on our agenda right now is just should we even announce it yet? Yeah, you know what? You heard it here first, folks. I can't even fucking talk. That's why I play drums. I'm not allowed to talk. We have a European tour coming up early next year. We're still booking it, so no formal announcement with like dates and stuff. But we're gonna do that. We'll probably play a couple shows along the way, just to retool and get back. But we're still playing regularly. You know, staying fresh and writing new shit.
Very cool, man. That's exciting. You guys can go to Europe.
Canadian flag.
We played one time up in Canada. It was warmer up there than it was down here in the middle of winter. And I thought Doug was going to quit the band right after.
Oh, that was a rough tour.
It was the roughest
that was a rough tour
I've ever went on.
Yeah, we were in the van. We still hadn't figured out like the most efficient way of touring. We have it down. We have domestic touring down to a science now, but we still hadn't figured it out yet. And it was a rough go. Sleeping in fucked up positions in the van. It's it was. I mean, anybody who's toured in a band knows what it's, and especially for our first time going anywhere. Usually isn't great. Not that it's bad ever, like always, but it's usually not great. So it was our first time in Canada. It wasn't that great.
Montreal was funny though. there was a guy in street clothes with a screwdriver and a pair of pliers at the venue, at the bottom of the stairs, because he had to walk up to the venue. And he was downstairs, off the street, just hacking into the ATM machine. He had the whole screen and everything out. And I was like, oh, he must be the repair guy or something. Definitely wasn't.
Jacking the ATM.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you got anything, but, you know.
Wow. Some of the things that you see on tour, man, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Oh, luckily we've toured all over this country and the world, and we've seen some shit, man. It's,
Oh, yeah.
We could write a good 10 pages of this
I believe
book.
it.
The first 10.
I've seen some wild shit too, man. So I definitely believe you.
Oh, yeah.
Next question comes from our good friend Bill Johnson of 40 Ounce Booking Atlanta. He
we
said,
love Bill.
Yeah, me too. He said, I missed the beginning. How many years of sobriety do you have, and how often do you have to designated drive?
What was the last part of that?
How often do you have to be a designated driver?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He does most of the driving anyway, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
It's either me or him. Doug and Wes are usually in the back talking or something.
And they don't even drink that much.
Yeah,
but they drink like normal people. But
Right.
But sometimes sometimes from shows we have to like take some people home once in a while. Remember in England
or Wisconsin.
Yeah, we got to take some drunks home, and you don't know what they're saying
because
in either place.
Yeah, yeah. We just fucking offer it. But yeah, I've been sober. My sobriety date's October 3rd, 2011, and I designated drive a lot. My wife drinks. She's a normal drinker, and her family parties hard. So like, I'm usually the guy. So it's cool though. I
8
like
years. I got 8. And no, I say please drive drunk, have a few and drive. I'll watch.
You drink. He says you drink, you drive, you spill.
Okay, so it doesn't look like there's any more questions from the audience. And we are getting kind of close to the end of time here. But before I let you go, I wanted to ask if you guys have any shout outs you'd like to give.
I definitely do. Shout out to Bill for helping set this up. Thanks, buddy. And and thank you to you for this is fucking awesome. Havoc Punks and Susie Moon. I've been in a group chat with them since I went on the road with them like a year ago, and we talk every day. So I love that they're like extended family. Our buddy Houston and Dirty Rats, they're all on tour right now. So if you guys are in their area, look them up, go support them. Our State Line Records, Mark, former singer of the Ducky Boys, he lended such a hand. It was super generous to us for this record. And, you know, we don't have a label. No labels are really interested in us. So
shout out to them.
Big shout out to the labels.
You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. We will sleep in our van all over the country again. We will do it.
So, yeah. So, fucking Mark and P, the Souls, and you know all our people locally. Oh, all the Philly scene. Side Pocket Louie. Fucking Jason Clank, our buddy George Alexander, all our buddies, all our friends, the Oscars, love you guys, all our friends, love you guys, thank you.
Awesome. Before I have to say goodbye here, do you guys want to announce who our guest is going to be next week?
Yes, I remember it too. Do you remember it? You don't remember it?
No.
Death Trophy.
Oh.
Yes.
I
Death
texted it to
Trophy.
him so he would do.
I
What?
thought you just texted me randomly. You didn't.
No,
You didn't
no.
say why you texted
Oh, I'm
me
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm gonna text you this, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And he just texted it to me. I was like, I have this text.
I
now.
thought you were a mind reader. Sorry. I fucked up. All right, Death Trophy.
That's what happens when you
Am I
get
saying
sober.
am
you
I
can
saying
read
right?
minds.
You
it's
are.
Death Trophy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. I don't want to mess up their name.
You know, I got to be honest. I think that after this interview, I just want to join your band so that I can be in a band with you guys because
yeah.
I just love watching the dynamic.
Yeah,
It's a good time, dude.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a good
I
time.
bet it is.
Dude, we fuck around the
It's a
entire time.
good
We just
time.
bust balls, talk shit. It's fun.
Love that.
And then we write songs, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least, hopefully at some point in the future we can get together and do some shows together or something.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah, man.
dude. Absolutely.
Fucking
Love
rad.
to. Love to.
Oh, you know what? Before I let you go, it looks like one more question popped through from the audience. So let's see what that is.
Oh boy, it's a doozy one.
Oh, shit.
What that might be. I don't know.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe that was an Instagram error.
It was a comment. It said, "These
You
guys suck."
I just listened to the record. Are you guys the Lone Rangers? Yeah, I just saw you guys the other night. You guys suck.
All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. But I've really enjoyed this interview and just getting to know you guys a little bit. And I hope to continue the conversation sometime in the near future.
Yeah, man.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem. All right. So to play us out, this song is called Psych Ward 103. That's the end of this episode of Punk Rock Talk. We'll see you guys next time. Later.
Just don't get me.